You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your healthcare? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
Well, there we go. Hey, it's finally listening to me. Sometimes I hate Spreaker. All right, so anyway, we are live. Welcome, folks. This is Jen and Rick. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. She's the other half, Miss Jen Homestead. And yes, we did, I think, manage to pry her away from the Olympics, although I cannot promise that she's not watching streaming content on her computer while we're doing this show. So.
I know. If anybody's been around long enough, they know that I love the Olympics, and it doesn't matter what it is. Like by time this is over, like I will know who like the best bobsledders are. I'll know the best technical marks are for each skater and what their baseline they start at. I'll be totally into curling, even though I had no interest in it for the last several years. It's just kind of how I get with the Olympics. I love every minute of it. She says love. Everyone else calls that obsession. And for some reason, it's just how my family has always been about it. Summer and winter, we've just kind of always gotten really into it and watched all the things. So, yeah, I'm DVRing a bunch of it and watching some of it live. And, you know, I'm taking a small break here, though. It's all I'm missing right now is the pairs short program skate for the team skating event. So I think I'm okay. There's a little bit of curling on, I think, and maybe some alpine skiing. So, but other than that, I can catch up on all that.
So you're not going to start twitching or anything while we're on the radio or anything, right? Double checking. Because actually, the last time the Olympics was on, which was the Summer Olympics, I actually kind of liked the fact that you were obsessed about it because my TV provider was going through a contract dispute with the channel that had the Olympics on it that lasted the entire time the Olympics were on, so my only way of knowing what was going on with the Olympics was with you. However, I am more of a Summer Olympics fan kind of guy than I am a Winter Olympics kind of guy. I don't know what it is, but I like the summer ones better. I don't know why.
Well, it's funny. When it's time for the Summer Olympics, I think I love the Summer Olympics best. And I'm like, oh, yes. And I get so into the swimming and, you know, I love the gymnastics and all the racing and everything. And so I think I'm totally like a Summer Olympics person. And then by the time the Winter Olympics roll around, I'm super excited for the skiing and the luge and all sorts of things like that. And I'm like, oh, wait, I actually love the Winter Olympics too. So I just go back and forth. I like sports. And this should not be a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, no, and it's really not. So I thought maybe, because we're kind of prying you away from the Olympics, I thought maybe we could play something fun that I think you will get a kick out of. I actually found the audio of Adam Schiff being pranked by Russian comedians.
Yes.
So we're going to play all of it. Some people heard me give my take earlier on America Off the Rails, so this one's especially for you. So I'm going to let you listen to it, and then I'm going to let you insert your own thoughts, because the funny thing is, if you read the articles and you read the comment section of the articles and the tweets that go along with the articles, the left is all like, oh, did you bother to read past the headline where it says that he reported it and thought it was a fake? I want you to hear this and tell me at the time if it really sounds like he thought it was a fake.
Hi, all right. I'm going to put Mr. Schiff on the phone, and then I guess, are you going to transfer him to Mr. Parubi?
Yes, of course.
Great, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Mr. Schiff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
I know that you work for investigation regarding Trump and Russian government.
Yes.
We know some important information about that.
And that is documented as well in materials you want to provide to us?
Yes. Could I explain you where we are?
Yes, of course. But, again, I would just caution that our Russian friends may be listening to the conversation, so I wouldn't share anything over the phone that you don't want them to hear.
No, I don't think that it will impact on our investigation.
Yes. Well, please, go ahead then.
In November 2013, Mr. Trump visited Moscow. He visited competition Miss Universe, and there he met with Russian journalist and celebrity Ksenia Sobchak.
I'm sorry, can you explain that again? While he was in Moscow in November 2013, he met with a journalist and...
Well, she's poor journalist, but anyway, she became famous because of Putin is her godfather.
Okay, Putin's godfather. Okay.
She also known as a person who provides girls for escort for oligarchs, and she met with Trump and she brought him our Russian girl, celebrity, Olga Buzova, who also known as a person with a strange reputation.
Olga, and how do you spell her name?
Olga Buzova.
Buzova.
Yes.
Olga Buzova is a friend of the reporter Sobchak?
Yes, she's a friend of a reporter, and I think the special agent of Russian Secret Service, Ksenia Sobchak.
That Sobchak is or Olga is?
No, Sobchak is Ksenia.
Okay, and so Buzova met with Trump in New York at some point after the 2013 Miss Universe
Yes.
pageant.
Absolutely, and she got compromising materials on Trump after their short relations.
Okay, and what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
Okay. And so Putin was made aware of the availability of the compromising material?
Yes, of course, Buzova shared those materials with Sobchak, and Sobchak shares those materials with Putin, because she's a goddaughter of Putin, and Putin decided to press on Trump.
And the materials that you can provide to the committee or to the FBI, would they corroborate this allegation?
Sure, of course. When they were in Ukraine, we got their conversation by the phone where they discussed those compromising materials. We are ready to provide it to FBI.
So you have recordings of both Sobchak and Buzova where they're discussing the compromising material on Mr. Trump?
Absolutely. And we also know who was a mediator between Trump and Russian government, who met with ex-advisor of Trump, Mr. Flynn. It was a Russian singer, very famous singer, Arkady Ukupnik, who met with Mr. Flynn on Brighton Beach in Brooklyn in a special Russian cafe, Langeron.
What's the name of the cafe?
Langeron.
Langeron?
Yes, it's on the Brighton Beach.
Okay. And
it's a special. It's a Russian district in Brooklyn.
And do you know what was discussed?
They discussed many things, but the most interesting thing is they used a special password before their meetings. When they met each other, they said weather is good on Deribasovskaya.
Weather
it rains.
Is good.
Yeah.
In where?
Weather is good on Deribasovskaya. There is a name of a street in Odessa.
Did you hear?
Yes, I did. So it's a street in Odessa.
Yes.
And the code word is weather is good on Deribasta?
Deribasovskaya.
Deribasovskaya. Okay. And I'll have my staff follow up to get spellings and more details on
Yes.
And the second part of their password was it rains again on Brighton Beach.
It rains again on Brighton Beach.
Yes.
On that meeting, Okupnik told Flynn that all those compromising materials will never be released if Trump will cancel all Russian sanctions.
Okay. Well, obviously we would welcome a chance to get copies of those recordings. So we will try to work with the FBI to figure out, along with your staff, how we can obtain copies of those.
Of course, we will provide you all our copies of all our materials, but I also would like to let you know that Sobchak and Buzova will pretty soon visit our country, and we could read them and deliver them to your embassy, and we also could extradite them to your country, and you can put them to your special jail, Guantanamo.
Well, I'll be in touch with the FBI about this, and we'll make arrangements with your staff. I think it probably would be best to provide these materials to both our committee and to the FBI. And so we'll make arrangements between my staff and yours on how to facilitate that. And we'll also obviously let the FBI know about Buseva and Sovchak's planned travel to Ukraine.
I also advise you to check all Sobchak's visits in the US, because she was in the US very often, and just to check what she did there actually. And I also would like to look at Russian cafe on Brighton Beach, Langeron, and especially on their head of Russian mafia, Uncle Misha.
Uncle Misha? And
yes.
He's in Brighton Beach?
Yes, he's the head of Russian mafia, and he's located on that restaurant on Brighton Beach.
Okay.
I just want to advise you just look at them, please.
Alrighty. Good. This is very helpful. I appreciate it. Anything else you wanted to add today?
Well, I hope that my information will be useful for you and your committee, and I also would like to advise you, when you or your colleagues will meet Mr. Trump, I advise you to tell him first part of the password on the weather is good on Deribasovskaya, and look how his face will change the color.
And so those passwords were used with Mr. Trump?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We will be back in touch with you through our staff to make arrangements to obtain these materials for our committee and for the FBI, and I appreciate you reaching out to us.
Well, let's be in touch, and I will wait for your response from FBI.
Excellent. I'll have them follow up as soon as possible, and I thank you again.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So there we have the entirety of that. Hang on, I cranked up the audio a bit because it was kind of muffled, so let me fix that. That was really loud in my ears. Alright, so anyway, that was the entirety of the nearly 8-minute exchange between the head of the, or one of the heads of the investigation regarding Trump-Russia collusion and Russian radio pranksters. Let the irony of that statement sink in.
I mean, what? Like, how is this real?
So my first question is, how in the hell did two guys from Russian radio get straight to one of the top people in the Trump investigation? I mean, I can't wrap my head around this, because I can imagine, they probably found a number that got to one of his aides or something, but I can't imagine the aides being like, okay, hang on, we're going to get him, so we're going to put you right through to him, and then you're going to put him through to the top guy, right? Well, yes, of course. Like, so, shouldn't maybe you be like, okay, so we're going to take this information to our boss, and then we're going to confirm with your boss that that he actually wants to have this conversation, because there's a way that they could have verified it. So what the hell? What? I mean, seriously, that would be like us trying to prank Putin. It's not going to be that easy. I mean, come on. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, could they possibly have really been duped by that?
I mean, I
know he was treating it as, I know that, like, in that conversation, he was treating it as serious, but I mean, in the long run, like, surely they realized this can't be real, right?
I think at some point they figured it out, but during that conversation, I think he thought that he was getting the score of a lifetime. Because at some point, I know he did report it, so at some point, somebody probably helped him figure out that he was getting played. But the thing that tripped me out was when the guy mentioned the Trump nudes. Was it me, or did Schiff get kind of excited? I'm just like, I don't even think Melania gets excited at the ideas of Trump nudes, but you do you, bro.
Oh, man, that is something else.
But yeah, so, that's, and again, I mean, I know eventually at some point they did figure it out, because you can actually research the fact that he did report it to the proper folks, and they came back and made sure that he understood that this was a prank. And then, of course, now he says he knew it was a prank. I'm sorry, during that, when you can hear him pausing to take time to write things down, that tells me that in that moment, he thought he was getting legitimate information, because when he's like, wait, so hang on, can you say that for me again? And he pauses for a good 30, 45 seconds. That's him taking notes. The human brain, unless you do it a lot, does not allow you to hold a conversation while you are talking or typing at the same time. You have to train yourself to do that, and it takes years. So I guarantee you, those long pauses where they're giving him information and they keep asking him, did you get that? Did you hear what we said? And he finally comes back and says yes. That's him taking notes, which tells me that in that moment, he thought he was going to be the next Deep Throat. He may have figured out he got played later, but in that moment, he thought he was going to be the next.
Well, and I think when you're so eager to find something like that and to get that kind of call with the information that you so desperately want, then a lot of people, no matter what the subject is, are too believing, right? They're too willing to go down that road with people. So, yeah. I think he was hoping he was getting something that he could use, and hopefully later on they realized, well, that would be really dumb. We've been had.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just crazy to me. But the funniest thing is, you go through and you read the different play-by-plays and the different accounts of it, and I'm just thinking, have you bothered to listen to the audio? Because, like I said, in that moment, I'm pretty sure he thought it was legit. I mean, I realize at this point it's kind of a non-issue, because, now we have a government shutdown looming, and now we have Republicans that, even though they now have control of the purse strings, seem to be just as spend happy as the Democrats, and that does not make me very happy. But I also understand why they're floating a lot of the things that they're floating right now, because they're trying to get anything to pass so the government doesn't shut down. But at the same time, I mean, do we bother to stand for anything anymore? Or are we just going to be like, yeah, we don't really care so much about spending anymore. Let's do this.
No, we don't. Short answer.
I mean, because, I get it from one perspective, because my state is having a huge version of the same thing here. We're trying to determine whether we can continue to cut our way past the fact that we keep winding up in holes, or if we can do audits to figure out where the money's being wasted, or if we can pass taxes to get things back under control again. My honest answer to the folks that are running my government is, at this point, I think we need to do all three. We need to put some taxes in place for the short term to get us out of the hole, kind of like, when you're broke and you go take a job delivering pizzas during your evening hours to get yourself unbroke again. And then we do the cutting and the auditing and everything else to fix the mess. We need to do the same thing at the federal level. We honestly need forensic accounting at the federal level, and I don't know why we don't have it. Or if we do, I don't know why it's not effective. Because they're talking about nearly $500 million going into both defense and entitlements. And I have a problem with both of those numbers, even though I am a guy that thinks that the military needs to be up to par, up to snuff, and we need to fix a lot of things that were allowed to fall by the wayside under the Obama administration. I don't think the first budget out of the gate should have $1 billion or $1 trillion at this point in spending between entitlements in the military. That doesn't even encompass the money that they want to put towards infrastructure. How are we going to pay for this stuff? We're broke.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where everyone, we're okay with it. Not we, you and I, but in general, like parties are okay with it when they're the ones doing it. And unfortunately, that's with the, the crowd that supports Trump blindly. That's how this goes. For the crowd on the right that don't necessarily support Trump as blindly as others, but maybe are just so wanting to support the GOP because we're finally in power and we're winning and all of that kind of thing, that they're able to excuse, justify, and or turn a blind eye to this. And then I think there's the legitimate people that are moderates that don't really get too bothered by it when either party spins. So that's a good chunk of people there that's supporting this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's all mind-numbing to me because I just, one of those things where, again, I kind of feel like we're taking a trip through the looking glass, because every time the president does something that I can half-ass support, Congress comes up and says, "Hey, watch this. We're going to blow our entire wad of a budget for the next 20 years in the first 6 months, all because we can." And then we still have the Democrats in one side of the chamber going, "Well, we're not going to pass this thing because that doesn't do anything for DACA." Then we have the lone libertarian Republican Rand Paul going, "I ain't voting for this because it sucks, so we're not voting for it over here either." So I don't. From last time I looked, I don't see any way we get past the government shutdown. And I honestly, the only thing that I hope happens this time is that they actually agree to go ahead and fund military pay. Let the rest of it sit there till we figure it out. I don't give a shit. Pardon my language, but I'm upset about this because we've done this now multiple times. And I don't want to be, and again, I technically can't be because I'm no longer a Republican, but I don't want to be part of the group that sells our great-grandkids down the river all because we're like, woohoo, we have control now. We can spend whatever we want. That's part of what we put you guys in charge for, was because you kept saying you were going to clean up the mess. So are you going to clean up the mess, or are you going to try to spend your way through it like the last guys did? Because that didn't work. Just asking.
Did you see... Well, I mean, thankfully there were some people that came out today, talking against it, and that's great. I think some of the problem, though, is that we just can't. So many of your average Americans, all of the budget talk and all of the spending talk and deficit talk is just so over their heads. And I don't mean that like they're ignorant. I mean because it's mundane. I mean because it gets technical. And the numbers are so large and there's so much involved that it's just really to try to sort through and look at it. And so even people that are absolutely engaged and brilliant start to kind of glaze over whenever stuff like this is talked about. And in a lot of ways it doesn't really, they don't see how it affects them personally, whether we spend more. An easy thing to not get riled up about and to just overlook, and not to hold your congressman for. So I think that's part of the problem with all of this for either party, is that this kind of uncontrollable spending is not ever really, they're never brought to task for it. They're never held accountable for it, because the majority of people simply don't care, or it's just too much to get into and look at.
Yeah, no, and again, I agree with you, and it's not because people are ignorant. It's just because they can't deal with the scope of the numbers that are talked about at the federal level. I mean, it's one thing when you try to break it down like kitchen table economics, and that makes sense, but you can't. The model doesn't always hold when you're literally talking about trillions of dollars. Sorry, Ron, because it doesn't work. But I don't know how we come back from this at this point, because all of the progress that we have just made, and as far as, we're bringing jobs back into the country again. We've got an economy that's finally coming back. We've got some of the best unemployment numbers, whether you look at the G6 or the G4 numbers, that we've seen in a long time. We've got now folks projecting that first quarter GDP could be somewhere near 6% if the numbers continue to hold true. And we're about to throw it all out by going spend crazy, when now the economy's starting to go nuts, because now everybody's starting to worry about the fact that if everything's roaring back as fast as it seems to be, what's going to happen with inflation? That's what's going on with the stock market right now. They don't know what's going to happen now that GDP's on the way back up again and everybody's unemployment's going down. We've had all these issues that this quantitative easing has held off for nearly a decade now at this point, that are no longer being held off because quantitative easing is pretty much done. So now we have all of these things that are all trying to rush to the surface, and we're going to spend our way out of it? I don't understand that. I'm not the most economically sound, sane person. I've made dumb choices, but that's part of the reason why I'm sitting here going, I've been through this before. You can't do it this way. I tried it. It doesn't work. If it's not going to work for the government, and I get that they can print their own money, but with quantitative easing pretty much done, because last I heard that's pretty much done at this point, because it's pretty much expired. So if they continue to print money, and they don't do something to correct that, that's when inflation is going to continue to go nuts. And that's why the stock market's been a yo-yo for the last few days, because nobody knows. Are we going to have inflation? Are we not going to have inflation? What's going to happen now that the economy's starting to roar back and we have all of these things that we've kept under a certain level for so long to try to make sure that everything's stabilized? So the first chance they get, they put a budget together with trillions of dollars in spending? Are you kidding me? I don't get it.
I don't even know what to say about it anymore. It's absolutely outrageous.
I don't have an answer honestly either, because we can't seem to get along well enough to figure out what we need to do to fix it. But I just know that doing things the way we've done them every other time before is not going to work. And the only reason that things have been working so far is because they've actually been doing things differently than we've done before. So now that that's worked a little bit, we're going to go right back to the same old, we can spend whatever we want, who the hell cares, and we'll worry about it tomorrow idea. That's what's led my generation to understand that we can't have anything from the Social Security money that they're basically pointing a gun to our head and telling us we have to pay into the system. I don't get it. But anyway, we're at the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to maybe go find something to lower my blood pressure a bit. And we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Stay tuned.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are live. This is Jen and Rick. We are live right now on KLRMradio.com. We've kind of been all over the place. We've been talking about the looming government shutdown. Just checked everything. As far as I know, we're still on track for midnight Eastern. Everything coming to it. No, not really. It doesn't ever really stop. The only people I'm worried about are the military. Everybody else, and I've been saying this to Jen off the air, and I said it on America Off the Rails earlier, I'm curious as to why in the heck anybody that actually works for the government could or should be considered non-essential personnel. Because if you work for a government, I'm thinking your job should probably be considered essential, or we probably should be contracting that job out to someone else instead of you actually officially working for the government. But what do I know? So we're down to about 19 minutes, and I'm still not really in the greatest of moods. So I'm going to turn things over to Jen and see if maybe she wants to talk about something, or maybe if she just says, hey, screw it, we're going to talk the Olympics for the rest of the night. I'm good either way. This whole shutdown thing has me a little verklempt, I'm just saying. So yeah, fun times.
I mean, did you hear about how they are going to remove Huckleberry Finn and To Kill a Mockingbird from a school district in Minnesota?
Wait, hang on. They banned Huckleberry Finn and To Kill a Mockingbird from, you said Minnesota?
Yeah, from a place in Minnesota. Let me find it here real quick.
Well, I mean that's far enough north. It's basically Canada Light, so I'm not really surprised.
It's like, I think so. You know, they're basically saying it's because, you know, partially because of the language and, you know, the insensitivity, the racial insensitivity and whatnot. And it's kind of like, well, wait, that's kind of the point of the books. Like, are you kidding? We cannot just pretend like there were not time periods in this country and not read representations of them actually very famous and very, you know, acclaimed works of fiction, whether it's literary, whether it's a movie, whatever it is that depicts those time periods and makes you a little bit uncomfortable. That's how you get to where, things like that help growing children, the minds of adolescents, start to really see why there is wrong in that. They start to form their own opinions on it. They feel uncomfortable when they're reading those words and they're seeing the characters put in those situations, and they figure out who they identify with. And I've never known anyone that was like they identified with the other side. No, like you felt for the characters that were being put through hell, and you got disgusted by the things that people said to them and about them and how they treated them. And to just ignore that because you think that it's insensitive and because you don't like that it has certain words in there is not doing anybody any good. This is education, for crying out loud. It's not a happy time reading circle. We're talking about presenting things to students that are, that challenge them, that require critical thinking, that make them analyze not only the book, but themselves, their lives, how they treat people. That's the whole point of this. And to just pretend like it's not there or to push it out and to only put in fluff pieces is just really doing these students a disservice.
Yeah, I don't understand the revisionist stuff anymore. I took some heat over this, but I'm going to go back to when they started, wanting to take the Confederate flags down and moving the statues and this, that, and the other and renaming the schools. And I told you guys it wasn't going to stop there. Now that the offended police have gotten themselves all stirred up and they've got momentum, they're just going to keep going. I'm telling you, if we don't put the brakes on this, people are going to make fun of me for what I'm about to say, but I seem to remember a certain book. Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. Anybody ever read it? Telling you, we're headed in that direction because we have gotten to this point where everyone is so easily offended and easily think that anything they disagree with needs to be completely stricken from the record. Politibunny's Twitter account as an example. That's where we're headed. Nobody can have a dissenting opinion anymore. No one can disagree anymore. Nothing can be offensive. Nothing that can be offensive can exist. Because if it does, we just have to remove it. Because then nobody gets their fifis hurt. We used to be made of sterner stuff. Now we have guys running around with merces and man buns. What the hell have we done to ourselves? I don't understand.
I love that you said man buns. I know, and I just feel like more and more we are not discussing, we are not challenging, we are not teaching, not just kids, but also college kids on, young adults on college campuses, that it's only like super either, social justice warrior approved or the sensitivity patrol's approval of all kinds of things that are acceptable in class, which, by the way, a lot of that stuff that they find totally socially acceptable offends me, but they don't give a crap about that. So, it's this right think, wrong think, and there is no challenge being made. There is no true education being had. And young people are falling apart at the mere sign of someone disagreeing with them. We see it every day on social media that, I'm not saying that there are older people that are immune to this by any means, because there are a lot of sensitive ninnies out there. But I see a lot with younger people, and sometimes I'm involved with younger people. I often have younger employees, and I sometimes teach younger people. And I see it a lot with this, that their world, their little precious shoulders just slump and sink if you disagree with them. It shatters their little hearts. It hurts their ego. It hurts their feelings. I'm talking actually hurts their feelings when you disagree with them on something important. And why are we allowing that? No, like they should be able to then come back and say why they believe what they believe or why they said what they said. And it doesn't have to devolve into either a shouting match or a crying puddle. But when you are not taught way, unless it's only to, berate people that you think are ignorant, stupid, and hickish, then this is what you get. And we can't read books that have bad words, and we can't read something that has a theme that we are uncomfortable with and that we wish we could pretend never happened, but it did. And, you can't discuss various policies. You can't discuss different ideologies. You can't discuss and defend your religion because people are too sensitive and too coddled and too used to being able to just have people nod their head, never being actually put on the spot and told to adequately, and succinctly defend their position, and that it's going to be countered, and then they'll be allowed to counter it again, and learn how to actually have these discussions and debates without it, devolving into a mess.
Preach it, sister. Because, yeah, that's pretty much right where I am right now. I'm over all of it, to be honest. I mean, we're getting to the end of the show anyway, but I just the fact that nobody is allowed to disagree with anybody anymore about anything. And there is a group of people that this has impacted, and you know who I'm speaking of, and it's a group of people that I never thought it would ever impact. And yet it has. So I stand by a statement now that I've been making for about a month. 2016 version 3.0 still sucks. Because we're still basically reliving the same vicious cycle of election cycle 2016. Because we still live in a world where nobody's allowed to disagree or they must be destroyed.
Difference of opinion and even just being able to say, you know what, I don't agree, so let's leave it at that. After you've both discussed your points, and when you're not seeing eye to eye, and be like, okay, agree to disagree. You get to have your opinion and I get to have mine. I don't see it the same way as you do. Cool. Now let's go have a drink. I used to do this with friends all the time, and it's just so rare now. Everyone has to be so politicized. They have to be so damn right. They have to win. They have to freaking win and have the last word on every little thing. And I'm not just talking about trolls on the internet. I'm talking about with people that they actually know and should be able to have a more civil discourse with as an adult. But apparently everybody's turned into a bunch of whiny baby snowflakes because that's not even possible anymore.
Yeah, everybody is. That's like, right now, I'm watching this unfold on Twitter regarding a friend of ours, and I'm just like, I don't understand, because, dissenting opinions are supposed to be okay, yet people are getting their accounts suspended over dissenting opinions. So go figure.
Yeah. Well, and, come on, people, let's not do that. See, I think this happens more often than people have a personal issue with someone. And I'm not saying that personal issue is ever legit. I just mean they've got a little bee in their bonnet about somebody, and then they see something like this happening where they're arguing with someone else. And so anyone from all different sides that might have issues with that person or might hold a little grudge, they all jump in and start reporting. And I don't think it's always just one side. I think it's multiple sides that don't even realize they're coming together and working together because they usually hate each other too. But their dislike for this one person that they have some sort of beef with, they go all in. And Twitter, as it has been explained to me, is that there is some sort of mechanism and algorithm here that when enough has happened, when enough reporting is done in a short period of, it's kind of an automatic thing that kicks in, and then after that is when you have to deal with, whether it was legitimate or not, but that there's and I've had my account automatically locked, and then being like, wait, why am I locked? And they're like, well, I get an email that says, I've violated, and they'll follow up with what I need to do. And then nothing ever happens because there was no tweet to delete, there was no violation, and I just get unlocked. And I know that that's because the couple times where that happened, one of the times it was a bunch of Bernie bros that I was arguing with, and they started calling me all sorts of names and filthy imagery and whatever. And I know that they just all mad. They were bragging about reporting me. They were bragging about trying to get me suspended. And so I think there was enough of them in that hour, but then there was nothing to really violate. But Twitter still triggered and locked my account. Now, a suspension works a little bit differently. Geez Louise, people. Like, just because people don't agree with you, and because you might even if you think they're crass or you think they're ugly or whatever, does not mean that you have to get them, booted from a social media site. That is so petty and it's so childish. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, still just checking news feeds, nothing showing anywhere about the budget, so we're headed towards 11 Eastern, so I'm pretty sure we're headed towards another shutdown. Yay for us. Bastards. Not that I really
Yeah.
care. I mean, the thing, we need to come up with something else to call it, because, I mean, it's not a shutdown, and that's part of the thing that, it's kind of like I was all over the news media today because, the Dow had a correction today. And Bell had closed down 1,000 points. So everything I turned on today was Dow plunges. Now the markets went from a bull to a bear. It's looking for the bottom. I'm like, no, it's called a correction. We've been expecting one for a while. And it'll probably gain at least half of it or more back tomorrow, like it's been doing for the last several days. But you guys aren't helping with your slanted media coverage, so way to feed the paranoia here.
Hey, I liked what you said earlier, though, about non-essential employees. You said it off-air to me before we started. You were like... because I was like, I care about the shutdowns less and less, and you're like, what I don't get is
why the f do we? Why the f does the government have what would be considered non-essential personnel? Yeah, except I didn't say f.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, legitimate question.
Tens of thousands of them. I mean, I understand considering non-essential personnel, runners, maybe even like secretaries, interns, maybe some other kind of staffing types. I understand that, but that shouldn't be tens of thousands of people. That should be a minimal percentage of government employees, and that should be what is considered non-essential and loaded with it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people that are considered non-essential personnel. I mean, I could think of maybe 10 to 15 people that should be considered non-essential. But my question is, because we know that the government doesn't do well with money, so if we have tens of thousands of people that are considered non-essential, couldn't we save the government money by contracting out those particular jobs for probably less money?
I'm sure we could do it for less money.
So hang on. Let's let this sink in for a second, because the weird thing that nobody really understands is even when you work for the government, you still technically have to pay taxes. So the government's paying you a salary that then you still have to turn around and pay taxes right back into the government for them paying you a salary. So let this sink in for a second. So if we took these thousands and thousands and thousands of non-essential personnel and actually started contracting them out to private companies to run these non-essential positions that would then therefore not really be government funded necessarily, but more government contractors, the government would pay the businesses who would then pay their employees who would then have to pay the taxes. So you're actually broadening the tax base. Because if you can do the work for less money, you can eventually hire more people to do the same work for the same amount of money. And then you actually have more people paying into the tax pool, and it's not money going from one hand right back into the other. But what the hell do I know? I'm just a talk show host. Grr.
Yeah, what do you know? Who is?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently I've confused everybody because my Abby looks like Bunny right now, and everybody's like, who the hell are you? So, I don't know. Anyway, we are officially just
Yeah, you really confused me at first.
Yeah, you're not the only one. But, so anyway, we are actually just about officially out of time, so why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me. That is, of course, until we say something that pisses somebody off and we all get suspended. Saying.
Exactly. I am at Jay Homestead on Twitter, JR Homestead on Facebook, and check out misfitspolitics.com.
And, of course, I am on Twitter as at Radio Host Rick. Don't pay attention to the Abby. It's really confusing right now. Although I've heard people tell me the picture looks much better than my actual face. So thank you for that. Just kidding. And, of course, you can also shoot me an email anytime you want at rick@klrmradio.com. I will be back with you tomorrow night for First America Off the Rails at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we'll crown off the night with Robinson and Wright. Next week on Robinson and Wright, we actually have the co-host of FUBAR, the Opulent Amish, is actually going to be joining us for the night. So tune in for that. We actually tried to drag him in this week, but he's complaining because he just went to the dentist. Apparently, he's still feeling a little down in the mouth. I thought that was a crappy excuse. But anyway, we'll have him on next week. Sorry, guys. I'm in a mood. For those of you who don't know, the person that we've been talking about actually happens to be a personal friend of mine. Her name is Sam. She's been suspended for having a disagreement with somebody over illegal immigration and was subject to mass reporting. I've actually known her for years, watching my TL explode, people calling her bullies and other BS. Nothing could be further from the truth. Hell, she hangs out with me. That should tell you exactly what a saint she is. But anyway, we are officially out of time for the night. We'll be back with you before you know it. I'm going to let Jen get back to the Olympics before she starts threatening to cut me. We'll see you guys later. Take care.